Good evening, everyone. Now, I must apologize because I had a little bit of an inconvenience in terms of how the broadcast goes. I had finished recording part 182. I believe we're on to part 183 today, but it looks like the session didn't start recording. And to give you a little bit of an idea in terms of how I record these, what I'll do is I'll save when I sort of finish a session. So that means, like, normally I'll do 4 back-to-back, and so I don't save in between on those, and in this case that actually hurt me. So we crossed over into the day, and I've taken the time to get myself the Storm, the Bittersweet Certainty, the Confounding Parable, and the Bittersweet Certainty, and I've been chatting away, getting really into the game, and absolutely none of that was recorded. So I try to make this sort of an unbroken play session of Book of Hours, but in this particular case, rather than sort of go back to an indeterminate time, so actually if I take a look, I think I can see the autosave. So it was about 6 minutes ago. Well, 6 minutes isn't that long, but what I will do, just as a sort of a reminder in terms of what I got done. So we started reading our new book right away. The I think it was Each Flame is Fuel. We read the Gemini. Oh yeah, actually, so there was one thing that was kind of fun about this. I read the Geminiad, Volume 3. I read the Black Book of Brittany. I read A Novel Method for Invocation and Contrition. And I think that was it. But basically, we wound up using as a whole bunch of languages, which was kind of fun. So anyways, I apologize. This does mean there's a couple of minutes of sort of missing footage for this episode here. But really, a lot of what I wound up doing was just recording whether or not I wanted to basically take certain actions. So I took a little bit of time to see whether or not I could use, I at least think this wasn't in this episode, but basically to see whether or not we could use a miner to eliminate the menacing phosphorescence. And in this case, we're just one moon short, and a few other considerations like that. So, unhatched hymns attributed to St. Lucia, the eyeless patron of glassworkers and name of the hour called Meniscate. The hymns venerate every sanctioned hour, celebrating them as the sun undivided, but also suggesting that each hour may become the next, madrigad to watchman, watchman to wolf, and so on. The hymn of the phases celebrates the Meniscate from whom we do not turn, for the truth which is beauty, the beauty which is truth, and the perfect balance between the two. The hymn of the reflections more puzzlingly celebrates the Meniscate as the sister of Janus, mother of shadow, whose visage wondrous in emptiness can reveal all truths. Okay. And Newman, the Turquoise Hand, a calligraphic manual of Ramsund, which employs as exemplar text Feriduddin's Conference of the Birds. At noon the sun moves like the beating of a wing. At sunset he sends the herald child with her candle. At midnight he sends the wind that extinguishes the candle flame. Commentary, illustrations, and interleavings carry revelations never intended in the original, a sense of history and senses of histories. All right. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 already. Now, first of all, I can't level up because I don't have the skills. But second of all, we'd have absolutely nothing that we're worried about overwriting with Mrs. Kill. So one of the things that I can do here, while I am going to be cycling through the Element of the Soul to make some money, probably what I'm going to want to do is use that money to restore some of these Elements of the Soul here. Okay, Solace helps. But yeah, what I'm trying to do here is get something of a balance between using things that Mrs. Kill has given us and things that we can easily replace. So like the Sunny I should get rid of because that's not going to last overnight. But not wait so long that Mrs. Kill isn't able to, that Mrs. Kill starts sort of overwriting memories that we can use. So like the memory solace here, I'm not going to be too sad if that gets overwritten, because you can't predict that sort of thing, right? Sometimes you will get unlucky. Okay, each flame has fuel. A work by Omar the Blaze, an initiate or craftsmaster at the Labyrinth of Lions. Omar describes his work as the construction of mirrors for the enclosure of a sacred flame, and his slow realization of a flaw in the glass. Omar explains how his lightsmithing techniques can be used in the presence of sufficient lantern to enrich xanthotic essence into the great ink of the first history, but he pleads caution in its use, lest the chandler be realized. Okay, so Sacralamea goes back in here. Take our Faust back. This gives us a revelation, so that's great. We're actually going to level up. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so, and it's Glacierian Lightsmithing up to level 8, so that's not going to be too challenging to fulfill. So I think we're at a point where maybe we'll wait the 13 seconds. Oh, actually, am I out of room for revelations? I am. I definitely need to find a new place to put some books. So, I'm gonna make a small shelf for... Okay, here's an idea. I'm gonna take these... Okay, so I can get 7 salt texts. Interesting. All right. So I'm going to move salt into this room. Don't want to go on the ground there, huh? Again, I don't want to spend too much time on library stuff, but it's getting a little embarrassing in terms of the overflows that we have to do. Okay. From that, I think we're going to take the intuition and move that over. Okay. So then the question is, what do I do with the newfound space? It's actually a few things, so I'm going to try something a little unusual here. So this will eventually become foresight, but I'm going to retain those labels just to make sure that I don't get tripped up. I feel like we can do better here, but now we had an expansion of the regrets shelf, so yeah, I think I'm creating a bit of a mess, to be honest, but okay. So if for the sake of the argument we now start spreading regrets over 2 shelves. This is looking encouraging. All right, now, the original problem was the revelations. Oh, hang on. Right, this is my BC Silk Journal, so... just so I can have a little sanity here, let's do Almanac of Entrances and a manual for departure. I don't quite plan for these to be permanent homes, although they may be there longer than expected. Okay, so moving day for the lantern. So first question would be, can I get away with... I don't think I can fit them all here, but let's see. I think we're going to be 1 short, but let's see. Definitely more than 1 short. Okay. So Revelation can probably get its own room. The question is, what is the room that I put, yeah. All my traditional shelves are sort of occupied at this point. And I mean, the alchemical work. Now, I could just stick these all in the church. But I don't know. Windowsills, really? I think we can do better. The other question would be, can I clear out sort of some lesser shelves? The problem here is that there's just not that much space. Like, I am sort of tying up a couple of... Like, this is a nice big shelf that's currently only supporting one book. There's a few of these sort of in the middle. Although maybe that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Interesting. So maybe if I just extend the Revelations down this side, that's my solution there. So first of all, this should go on the Regrets shelf. All right, I think I'm working my way out of the problem here. So, it will be kind of funny if I put Beguiling Melodies in the chamber normally associated with silence. So I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slots for... I wonder... I think I'm one short here, but let's see. Ooh, we got it. Okay, I'm seeing an end here. Okay, so the unhatched hymns or savage hymn is a little bit easier for me to find a place for it. That's one where I can sort of justify saying is like, okay, this is a dedicated shelf for this strange thing. In fact, there's nothing saying that I can't just give it its own shelf here in the overflow. So, for now at least. We might find a special spot for it. But for now, I'm just kind of happy that we don't have these weird like this, the road to Janus sort of winding up in this spot's a little funny. I guess we also have a big open shelf that we can use for something else here. I'm just trying to think what we would even fit. Well, actually, okay, so if I do this... Contradictions. Yeah, it's not so clear to me what the... Well, I guess I could have put intuition. Yeah, this would have allowed me to have the intuition. Okay, actually, there we go. I know it's a little silly that I moved the entirety of the intuition, but just needed a minute to think this through. So, doesn't hurt that they're in here, but it's a little inconsistent with the library that they're in these bedrooms. So for now, I'll settle for double it up here. There we go. That feels like a bit more order in terms of the library. It is still a little silly that, you know, you have to go through a few rooms to get to the bridge, but I feel like I'm sort of making better use of most of the space inside here, so... Okay, better now. Let's take a moment and think about... So I think I said I was going to spend 12 seconds to see what comes out the other end. Let me actually take a quick look. So we've got... there's actually 4 things that she can generate. So there's... Excuse me. There's actually half of what she can generate already on the table now. So I think I'm going to go back on what I said, and I'm going to increase glaziering and lightsmithing now. When I thought I'd understood, I'd only begun. Okay, so after all of that, this is on its way to becoming level 7. So we just need 3 more of the elements of the soul, and it's actually not that hard for me to get another storm. But at this point, I think we can wait to see what Mrs. Kill does. Either way, we definitely have what we need elements of the soul-wise, so there's no need to go crazy at the sweet bones to restore everything. There's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs, or add coin to find visitors seeking employment. Also, I should probably load up on all my my possessions. So, it may not be a bad idea for me to think about what else I want to do with the day. I did have one more Newman text. I think what I'm going to do here, let's wait until we're ready to go with the level up before I commit anything else. And I guess there's one more text, although I don't think Introduction to the Histories is going to give us too much trouble. All right. So we made the right call in terms of Mrs. Kill. So 5 of the 7 that we need. That just means 2 more. The skill is now level 7. Its power aspects have also increased. So I think a good call at this point would be... I think we are going to get the storm. Investigate the object. You won't use this up or consume it by doing this. Alright, fair enough. I'll probably just wind up picking up a flower of some kind. at the end of today. Maybe we'll investigate the caves. Oriflammes, thanks you for your custom. So, Bronze Spintria for trouble. Combine that. So I do sort of need to find a new place to put books. I guess we can put these in the bedroom. I feel a little bad just using the shop purely for money, especially that seeing as I have a seven-pound note, but we sort of already know how I'm using the rest of my skills for the day. At this point, it's really just a question as to whether or not Mrs. Kill gives us what we need, or if I think we've got one more. It's kind of a question in terms of how much gardening I do is really what it comes down to today. We know we're going to be able to level up glaziering and lightsmithing. It's just a question of what else we get to do on top of that. I also don't have quite the same urge to have a particular Newman active. I've got... it'd be nice to have one in the inventory, but it would also be nice to sort of know what I'm going to use it for. So actually one question I might ask would be, what do I get with Introduction to the Histories? That would be Snow Stories, so... I feel like that's, yeah, level 3, so I don't think we're going to need that much. Stolen Secret doesn't help me. So we'll see what she gives me after the 30 seconds here. If we don't get anything, we'll just go for some music and then move on. If it's Snow Stories coming up next, I think actually a Confounding Parable would be a good idea to take overnight. We already have one here, so I want to be careful about when I read it, but... Okay, the fear doesn't help. We will still talk with Mrs. Kill, but what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to read 2 songbooks. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 7 that we need. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read one. Actually, you know what? I guess I don't. Yeah, no, we're not doing the Newman. What I'll do is I'll just keep the Confounding Parable for the next. Let me just double check I have that right. Ragged Cross. No, Snow Stories. Yes. No, that makes sense. Okay. So we'll read the Unhatched Hymns. And then we don't have any other... Oh, darn it. I already have the Savage Hymn. That is unfortunate. So no surplus for me. Unless we get lucky with Mrs. Kill. For some reason I thought I didn't use the Savage Hymn. I used the Cheerful Ditty. Alright, well that's fine. I can't undo it. So let's move on. And with that, we'll be a little more careful and read the Perugian Diaries. Now again, all's not lost. We'll see what we get from Mrs. Kill. If we wind up with, say, a revelation or something equivalent, then we can throw all that in. We will still be down one element of the, or one memory, I think. Foresight helps. So yeah, I missed out on my gardening, but glaziering and lightsmithing. No. This doesn't make sense. We need to wait. Actually, let me just double check that. So with Snow Stories, yes, it is. Out of the things I am getting, only the Confounding Parable makes sense for that. Light has fallen, dawn will come soon. So actually, I guess with that... Well, it doesn't matter. I'll still commit the Confounding Parable to sleep, even if it's later in the day. Sorry, the day's catching up with me, or at the very least the heat, so I'm second-guessing myself on a few things. All right, Perugian Diaries. In 1907, at the age of 18, Christopher Illapoli left Strathcoyne's household to study theology at the University of Perugia in Italy, enrolling under the name Christopher Strathcoyne. For 4 years since his adoption from a Bristol orphanage, Illapoli served as Strathcoyne's pupil and protege, but his relationship with this austere and secretive man was always complicated. His journal confides, "I still think Fraser's intentions are good, certainly he agrees, but I never understood the final goal of his investigations. He was never prepared to enlighten me, and good intentions or not, I can no longer bear this dream of eyes. We've agreed to part almost amicably." Illapoli left Perugia in 1909 without completing his degree. He had long lost interest in his studies, and the latter half of his journal is concerned with his studies of Umbrian folk songs and notes towards his own compositions, which are of widely varying quality. One of the better ones, In the Marshes of Night, suggests that he visited the site of Old Lake Fucinus near Ortuccio. And of course we've read this recently, so I'll just add that to the pile. So let's get level up. So Glazurian Lightsmithing with Whist, Lesson. There we go. At last I approach mastery. We will put the Confounding Parable into our bed. Oh no! I wasn't thinking at all. All right. Regret indeed. So I don't think, yeah, so there are some things that I'd like to carry over, but out of what I can keep, it's really just the Stolen Secret and the Impulse. So that's life. I mean, there's nothing I can really do about it, so I'm not going to get too fussy about it, but I think I've been burned by the Confounding Parable thing before. So we'll say today was all about the library reshelving, and we'll just pretend that the whole lesson improvements didn't happen. So we're at time. I'll let this run out, but we'll talk a little bit about sort of the future plans. So the first thing that I would like to do is read Introduction to the Histories. This is not a challenge at all. I may not even need to use a whist for it. I mean, I could probably just use a skill. Skill is now level 8. Its power aspects have also increased. Break a window. What have you made? A way, a new light, a weapon. Natalia Brulot. So basically what we've got is we're going to read the Introduction to the Histories, and given that it's almost certain that there's only going to be one lesson that comes out of that, which we'll use to upgrade Snow Stories, I'm not even really going to need that much. So usually the memory winds up being relevant to the lesson that appears. So in this case here, I expect that we'll need 2 memories from Snow Stories, and it's not that difficult to get Moon and Winter. I mean, if nothing else, you know, I can just give up 2 elements of the soul, but what I'm just trying to say is that this is not going to take up the majority of my day. So there's a few things that I have in terms of options, in terms of what I do. I could spend the day opening up the various chests. I could also try a few recipes, because we've definitely read a couple of recipes which I don't think we've tried. If nothing else, they're more challenging ones, but they've come up in some of the books that I've read recently. I said before, we're going to leave the Menacing Phosphorescence for another day. We'll probably wait for winter for that. So if I'm not going to have sort of a steady stream of books coming in, I am going to need to start thinking about what the future looks like without, without the books to go with. And honestly, for tomorrow, the easiest thing is just going to be trying to work through a few of these crates. We have quite a lot of them, so it's going to take some effort. But all of that will be handled in a future episode. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I believe, let me just take a look. At the time this will come out, the deal on Cultist Simulator should have finished, so I hope for those of you that haven't tried Cultist Simulator, you were able to pick that up at the time. Obviously, it's a little bit of a bummer to speak of it in retrospect, but I also know some people get to these videos quite late. Whatever you wind up spending playing, or whatever you wind up spending the weekend on, hopefully it's playing some of these games. Either way, we will be back Monday for another episode. Until then, take care.